Today we're going to take a journey through a really powerful philosophical argument, right from the 6th chapter of the Quran, Surah Al An. We're going to explore its structured, logical case for the existence of one single universal creator.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the absolute foundational premise of the entire argument. Then, we'll see what kind of evidence it presents from the world all around us. After that, we dive into this amazing human story that kind of models the whole process of discovery. And finally, we'll unpack the moral and ethical conclusions that the Surah says comes from all of this.
You know, any solid argument has to start with a clear foundational premise, right? And Surah Al An is no different. It kicks things off not with a mystery or some command, but with this incredibly powerful declaration about the very nature of reality itself.
Now just look at how this opening verse is structured. It establishes a single creator as the source of these fundamental opposites, darkness and light. And the implication there is huge. If one being creates both, then you don't need competing gods of light and darkness. It's saying there's just one, unified source for everything.
This central idea, well, it has a name, Tawheed. It's the absolute, indivisible oneness of God. And honestly, every single piece of evidence, every story, and every moral law we're about to see in this chapter is all designed to build the intellectual and spiritual case for this one single concept. It's the pillar holding the whole thing up.
So right after laying out its main idea, the Surah does something really smart. It sets up the counter-argument that it plans to take apart. It poses this logical challenge. If one being created everything, how does it make any sense to worship anything else? I mean, by definition, anything else is part of that creation, right? So it frames polytheism not just as a matter of belief, but as a total logical contradiction.
Okay, so the core claim is on the table. How does the argument build from here? Well, it moves on to presenting evidence. And the text suggests you don't need to look for some wild miracle. The proof is literally all around you, in the elegant, predictable systems of the natural world.
So the argument basically asks this question for us. It anticipates the skeptic saying, okay, that's a nice claim, but where's the proof? And the verses that follow are presented as the answer to exactly that.
The surah lists all these incredible phenomena, and it calls them ayat, which means signs or pieces of evidence. Now, the point here isn't just that these things exist, it's that they work together like a unified, intelligent system. The sun and moon follow predictable paths, seeds grow into plants, rain produces all this variety. This consistency, the text argues, it points to a single, intelligent will, not the chaos you'd get from a bunch of competing gods.
Now, this is where the argument takes a fascinating turn. It zooms in from the huge, impersonal cosmos to a deeply personal, human story. It presents the prophet Abraham not as someone who just got a sudden revelation, but as a thinker, as someone who arrives at the truth through a process of pure reason.
It's incredible, right? This process is like an ancient scientific method. Abraham observes something, he forms a hypothesis, that's my Lord, and then he tests it. The star, the moon, the sun, they all fail his test for divinity because they're temporary, they're transient, they set. So by rejecting everything that disappears, everything that's dependent, he reasons his way past all these created objects to the existence of an uncreated, permanent creator behind them all.
And this is his grand conclusion. It's the climax of his whole rational and spiritual search. He literally turns away from worshiping the things he can see, and he turns towards the unseen source who created them in the first place. His journey becomes this perfect model for anyone who's seeking truth through observation and reason.
So here's the crucial point. After building this whole logical case for one God, the Surah doesn't just stop there. It asks, so what? Right? If we accept this is true, what are the consequences for how we're supposed to live our lives? The argument now shifts from theology to ethics.
The Surah presents a system where justice and accountability are absolute. You are responsible for what you do. But, and this is key, this justice is framed with an even bigger context of mercy. Notice the asymmetry there. Good deeds are multiplied by 10, but bad deeds are counted just as they are. The text is arguing that the defining, overarching characteristic of the one creator is mercy.
And this is the practical payoff of the entire argument. Believing in one God isn't just some abstract idea. It leads directly to a single, clear, ethical framework, what the text calls the straight path. It's the code of conduct that logically flows from the theology. It's where the rubber meets the road.
And just look at what this path involves. Sure, it starts with the core principle of monotheism, but then it immediately expands to these universal ethics that really any society would recognize as foundational: respect for parents, the sanctity of life,
social justice for the vulnerable, like orphans, and absolute honesty in business and in speech.
This concluding verse just ties the entire chapter together perfectly. It brings the argument full circle. Recognizing the one creator through reason and observation logically leads to following one clear, straight, moral path. The unity of the creator implies a unity of purpose and ethics for all of humanity.
And that's our explainer. The Surah leaves us with this really powerful idea, that our understanding of the cosmos is directly linked to our personal ethics. It kind of makes you wonder, right? In our age of incredible scientific discovery, how do our observations about the universe shape our understanding of justice and mercy and our own straight path? It's a question that feels just as relevant today as it was 14 centuries ago.